This is something really exciting. I was so thrilled when I read the article. Actually, it was in the Free Press, Toledo Free Press, about Escuela Smart. It's actually a smart school, School Smart, Toledo Smart. Is that the way? Toledo Smart. And it is a school, I'm going to let them tell you about it because they're so much more fluent about this whole issue than I am. But it is a school that will be bilingual and bicultural for kids who, is it K through 2?
K through 2.
Why don't I just let you explain what's going on? But pay attention. This is really interesting.
This is amazing what is happening to Toledo, and it has been long overdue. And right now we have kids enrolling in kindergarten, first grade, and second grade, which are the most critical formative years for them to absorb a new language. They're like open sponges.
Open books at that point. Yes. I forgot to tell you that this is Maria Gonzalez. She's the administrator of Escuela Smart.
La administradora.
Oh, okay.
And it is amazing. The parents are so enthusiastic. They just can't believe that they have this open door for them that is welcoming them, that the kids are welcome to speak their language and not being told, don't speak Spanish because nobody understands. The idea is this school is perfect for the kids that are new arrivals to our country, to the United States, and language, their Spanish is their first language. And the purpose is for them to keep the Spanish and at the same time get the English well. So they will be completely bilingual in both languages, English and Spanish.
I love that. And, you know, as I was reading the article, too, people that I know, like Maria Rodriguez-Winter, talked an awful lot about her experience in other countries. And I've had that same experience where everybody is multilingual. And here we don't seem to take it nearly as seriously as they do in other countries.
Right. Quoting Maria, we look provincial. We only want to speak one language. So anywhere you go in Europe, in South America, a tiny island in the Caribbean like Aruba, you have people speaking four languages.
Absolutely.
Very comfortable. Four languages.
So how did this get started?
Well, this is, as Maria had mentioned, this is actually years, a culmination of years and years of working to actually address a problem in our community, which is the high dropout rate of Latino students in our community. And as we started to look at what are the basic tenets of education, one of the successes is that parents are engaged with the child's education. And what we're finding out is in many of our homes, my home as well, as I grew up in a Spanish-speaking environment, my parents didn't know how to speak English, and so my parents weren't engaged with me in education. So it was either a sink or swim in my generation.
Were there 11 of you?
There's 13. 13 of us kids.
13 of you.
Yeah.
And the thing though, the thing that I remember, and you and I have known each other for a long time, and I knew that you came from a really large family, but the thing I didn't know is that there was a fair amount of bad feeling about the fact that you spoke Spanish.
Very much. Yes. It was that generation. It was either you're in America, speak English, and be less Latino, be less Hispanic, and be more American. And so what happened is a lot of the parents just got disengaged from the education process. And so what Escuela Smart does is it allows the opportunity for parents to better gauge where their students are at, better help out with homework, better help out with their educational process, because they can actually communicate with the administrator, they can communicate with the teachers, they can communicate even with the support staff that are all bilingual. And so that's the idea behind Escuela Smart, and that is to look at a certain population, just like in education, we're looking at career technologies, just like we're looking at single-sex schools, just as we're looking at people who have maybe affinity to the arts. There's a population of students that are attracted to or engaged in some way or another with education. In this case, we're talking about language, and unfortunate that in our country, it's okay for us just to have one language when the rest of the world has multiple languages.
It's certainly our loss. This is not a TPS school? This is a charter school, or is it a TPS charter school?
It is a public school.
It is a public school.
It is a public school, as TPS is, and as other charter schools. The focus here is with those that where we can use language, Spanish in this case, as an asset versus a deficit. And the other thing to remember is that it's also for those families who want their children to grow up with multiple languages. And so you don't necessarily have to be Latino, you don't have to be
I was going
Spanish
to ask
speaking.
you that. That is so cool. So I could put my kindergartner in
Yes.
who has English as a primary language.
Absolutely. We have some kids from the neighborhood, walkers, and they are our American kids that their primary language or first language is English, and now they are learning Spanish. So parents are, we just had our first family night, and parents were so impressed to have their kids come home and show off their bilingual or Spanish skills. It's really cool.
So you really have to be a kindergartner? I mean, like you wouldn't take a 45, 50-year-old,
Well,
something in that range. You
Don't go
wouldn't take
too
somebody
far
like that?
because over the weekend at the Latino Fest, I made a wonderful connection. I was next door with the Mexican consulate, and they donated to the school 2 full boxes of books, children books in Spanish. That was a super gift. But not only that, they made a commitment to us that they want to help with Spanish classes for adults.
Oh, that
so
would
you are
be
more than
amazing.
welcome to
Thank
come.
you, thank
Yes.
you. Remember that. Remember me. So, has the school opened yet?
Absolutely.
It is open.
We
yeah.
are already, there were a 2 weeks adaptation period for the kids, but school officially started on September 2nd. And we gave them transportation all over the city. They had breakfast, they had lunch. So you're more than welcome to come and help us with the lunch and recess.
And because I'm sorry.
So you have a chance to enjoy the kids. They
Okay.
are adorable.
Yes, I
They are.
bet. I will. I'm going to take you up on that. I really
Yes.
am. Lunch and recess. I can.
Yes,
help with.
please.
Okay.
11:30.
Food will get me every time.
Okay.
So this is a public school, which means there is no cost.
Correct. It's there is no tuition, and also one of the hopes is that what happens here with this concept is it's one that's embraced as a magnet school. We're starting to hear from other communities outside of Toledo that are interested in participating in the school. We have to work through some of the logistics, but that tells us that we're in the right track when it comes to addressing this issue.
So you had mentioned earlier that it took a fair amount of time to get this concept up and moving. What were some of the barriers that you faced?
Well, one is to actually have people understand that there's a growing Latino population. For many years, folks thought, well, there's no migrant population, that population is decreasing, hence there is not an increasing Latino population. Well, the last census just showed recently that the only
There's an
population that's
increase.
grown has been the Latino population.
right, that would be true.
And many of those families are coming in from Central and South America, where primarily Spanish is the primary language. And so there's that need. The other piece is that we are accustomed to a traditional means of education, traditional curriculum, and sometimes it's very hard for institutions to deviate from that. And so historically, it's not been embraced in the public school systems. It's not the bilingual schools have not been embraced, but you're starting to see them now in Columbus, in Dayton, and now Toledo. And so the reality is starting to really come to the surface, and school systems are now having to respond to that.
In reading the article about the school, Linda Alvarado was interviewed, and she talked about some of the research that supported the importance of these schools. She talked about the benefits that these schools provide. Would either of you care to speak about that? The benefits that these schools provide?
Absolutely. Number one, our kids, when they come and they only speak Spanish, and we don't want to just make them feel that they are not allowed to speak the language anymore. The benefit will be in the future, we have a bilingual generation. That is great to be bilingual, but when you have to understand that Spanish is the second most widely spoken language in the U.S. So prospective employers, business owners, they are looking, because the market is huge for the Latino community. So we are preparing these future leaders in the community and future employers and employees of the community when we give them this bilingual education as early as kindergarten, because that's the most open and most wonderful age for them, because they are not afraid to repeat, to make mistakes. How do I sound? Do I have an accent? Not that I have an accent, but it's important for them too. And on that note, we have teachers that are English-speaking teachers because I don't want our kids to learn English with my accent, right?
Yes.
So they are
Your
one-
accent's lovely, though. By
Well,
the way.
thank you.
It is.
So that's the idea. We have English-speaking bilingual teachers. Some of our staff only speak Spanish, but that's the beauty of it, that the kids are exposed to that all day long.
I love the idea that part of this focus is enhancing self-esteem and encouraging kids to be leaders, to know that they can make that
Yes.
happen. I love that. I love that about the
Absolutely.
school. Yeah.
Earlier we talked about just the importance of engaging corporations with smaller businesses. And the one thing that we know is that this whole competition globally has come right to our front doorstep.
Absolutely.
And that what's happening in many cases is we have corporations that are looking for people with multiple languages, and we can't find them here. And we'll have to
Yes.
go. We have to, bring in import talent. Well, why not create that talent within our community? And that's what an Escuela Smart will do. Is it's going to give the language. It's going to secure that our children are going to be able to do business in Latin America and in other countries where Spanish is the primary language.
Yeah.
And so it's a great economic advantage that we're creating here.
Escuela Smart will present a traditional curriculum for kids.
Absolutely. We, as a community school, we have to go by the Ohio Department of Education requirements. And actually, we are look even harder. So right now, we have an individualized learning plan for the kids. All the first 2 weeks, the teachers had been evaluating all the children to see where they are, with the promise and the premise that at the end of the school year, those kids are going to improve between 1.5 years to 2 years academically. So it's not an IEP, but it's an individualized learning plan.
Learning plan.
It's not a cookie cutter lesson for the day. We meet the kids where they are. And that's how they really get individualized, unique attention from the teacher and their needs are met.
So right now it's kindergarten to second grade. Any thoughts about expanding it beyond the second grade?
That's what we want. So the kids that are in second grade this year, next year will be moved to third grade, and so on until we're planning up to sixth grade right now, which is perfect for them to be fully bilingual, fully fluent in both English and Spanish.
And you've gotten them at a time when the shaping of their own psyche happens, and it's so important to start that building of the self-esteem so early.
You talked about the self-esteem, and I remember the first day of school, some of the parents were saying that the kids were saying to their parents who aren't very fluent in Spanish that now the kids are going to be talking about us in Spanish.
We won't know what they're saying. That's the reason I'm coming over. I've got some folks I want to talk about in Spanish too. Thank you
you go.
so much. It was so nice to meet you, and I'm looking forward to working with you.
Please,
It's good to
yes.
see you, my
Always,
friend.
always.
Thank
We
you.
will be back in just a second. Please.